Welcome back, Wolfpack Verlis here, and let's take a look at Murkrow. Murkrow is one of the few viable Eviolite Pokemon, and you really wouldn't think that initially, that, okay, Eviolite boosts special defense and defense by 1.5 times. What makes Murkrow so special? It only has 42 on the defense, 60 on the hit points. Normally when we see an Eviolite Pokemon, it's a Pokemon like Chansey or Dusclops. They already have super ridiculous defenses or super ridiculous hit points, and Eviolite just exploits that, makes that Pokemon explode. Oh wait, never mind, Murkrow gets Prankster. That makes sense now. Non-damaging moves have their priority increased by 1. So now you have a tanky Prankster Pokemon. You do lose the effect of an item, but Murkrow still makes it work out really well. Having a 42 special defense that you can max out and throw on an Eviolite to, that puts you at around 100, that puts you over 150 at that stat at level 50 and over 300 at level 100, which means you have close to 90 in that defense. For a Prankster Pokemon, that's still pretty good, and Murkrow's kit is super duper awesome with Prankster. That we have moves like Roost, Feather Dance, Confide. We can do a lot of really silly things to the opponent, and one of the things I was thinking, well, with this set, you can tack on a Torment, and now you're just forcing your opponent around. I tried this set before, and then I realized something. You need to have an entry hazard. Murkrow set up like this, it doesn't want to go down. That you see a physical Pokemon, boom, Feather Dance. That means they're going to be losing half of their attack the first time you use it before they can even attack. Confide, it's going to lower their special attack by 1 stage instead, but that's why we just max out the special defense and we make it a super ridiculous Pokemon. So Murkrow, it'll be able to set up, just make your opponent have no damage, you can Roost back up to full health, and then they're going to have to switch. So with entry hazards, if you set up a layer of Spikes, a layer of Stealth Rocks, this is going to be a very terrifying set because Murkrow can just be this early game Pokemon that your opponent tries to figure out what options can handle Murkrow. So you get to scout out a decent amount of their team, and if they don't have something super ridiculous like a choice Pokemon that's going to hit you super effective, and even then you still might have a chance to survive. But it has to be like one of the strongest Pokemon in the game to be able to knock you out just outright. So then you can just set up against them like that, and then Torment is also a good option. Target can't select the same move twice in a row, so you take away their strongest move from them. You set up a Feather Dance, go for Torment, use Roost, and now they can't hit you with their super effective moves back to back, so it's just going to be harder for them, and it's going to want to force them out, and now that's when they're taking Stealth Rocks. So pretty much until Murkrow goes down, you're at least chipping away at your opponent's team, and then you can scout out their entire team. There's also a lot of other things you can do here. You can throw down Calm Mind. Calm Mind is going to raise your special defense. So that means when your opponent switches out, you still have that special defense edge. That special attackers still aren't going to do too much to you. It's not going to force them out as much, but still going to be pretty nice. And now we have kind of a mini Sableye. What makes Mega Sableye so strong is mostly that magic bounce because it can't get status. But here, physical Pokemon don't threaten you. Once you get it set up against special attackers, you're still in a really good place, and they can do a good amount of damage with Dark Pulse. If you don't want to worry about setting up too many Calm Minds to do damage, Reaktor also gets Nightshade. This Pokemon has a really crazy amount of moves that it can bring. Or if you just want to kind of keep with the Confide and stuff, you can really use this Pokemon to play around your opponent and set up Confuse Ray. So if they are trying to attack, they might hit themselves. Now, if you're using Feather Dance on them, they're not going to be doing too much damage to themselves. But still, this could give you free turns. That, okay, you set up a Feather Dance, maybe 1 or 2 Feather Dances, you predict a switch, you get a Confide on their special attacker, throw out a Confuse Ray, and now you can switch in almost any Pokemon on your team safely. That Murkrow is an incredible pivot. That if one Pokemon gets knocked down your team, you can just go into Murkrow. Murkrow's like, alright, I'm going to just reduce your power. If you switch out, you're taking Stealth Rocks. If not, that means I can maybe predict your switch, alright? I use 2 Feather Dances on you. I'm getting a Roost. You might want to switch out. I'm going to Confuse Ray. Now the Pokemon coming in is confused. Maybe the Pokemon didn't switch out. You get a free Confuse Ray. That means when you switch, they could hit themselves. They might also do a switch, so you get a free double switch at the same time. Just, you're trying to really outplay your opponent with Murkrow, and it's going to work out really well. And that's only in single battles. That this whole time, that's just single battle shenanigans. Murkrow is also a monster in doubles because it has crazy supportive things as well. Tailwind. You can double your speed since it's Eviolite, and it's going to be under that Prankster. Let's make the ability Prankster, and good, that was already Prankster. It means that you're going to be doing this before your opponent. Tailwind's going to be up. You can protect on your other Pokemon, and now the next time they attack, they're going to have double speed, and that combos with a lot of things. I have Gardevoir here, for example, because you're hitting both of the opponents for crazy damage. Mega Gardevoir is going to have absurd damage with that Pixelate. You can also go with the Sylveon. You can invest in the hit points. You're going to be tanky, and you're still outspeeding a lot. Sylveon, I think you might have to put some speed investment to. For the most part, that Hyper Voice is going to just explode Pokemon, and then Murkrow is still being frustrating at the same time. You have Taunt. Use your Prankster, you can shut down Pokemon trying to use status. You can get out-taunted by, let's see, I think Tornadus, Thundurus, and Whimsicott are going to be able to out-taunt you, I believe. But still, you can kind of play that to your advantage. It's like, alright, they're going to be taunting me. I at least get to switch out or something. Gardevoir still gets to go to town. You have Roost for the sustain. You have Feather Dance. So you can really just pick at your opponent. Like, okay, you're going to be doing something like that. I'm just going to use Feather Dance on you. And now physical Pokemon aren't hurting Gardevoir. Gardevoir already has a huge special defense. And you're really not taking damage while also just giving yourself hyper amounts of buffs. And again, Murkrow can confuse opponents. It can just kind of sit there and be frustrating to no end, and that's the great thing about Murkrow with that Feather Dance under taunt. Maybe someone at Game Freak overlooked that. So EV spreads. EV spreads are going to be very interesting. So the math behind it is a little weird, because with Murkrow, 128 is going to be better than, say, if we had 252 in hit points and then 252 in something else. Let's just put speed, for example. I know it doesn't work with Prankster, but it's going to help explain how this works. So now, with this, you know, if we were trying to just make it as tanky as possible, this is better than just hit points. Since we can't integrate hit points in the equation, it's going to look something like this. But if we want to play it around even more, well, we need to put more into our special defense than into our defenses. So we just trade off those stats, and now we're still tankier, even though we took off of hit points and put into special defense, and we're still looking really good on our defenses as well. So this is going to be the most optimal for Murkrow if you're worried about special defense. If you're going to be doing something to where you're more balanced or you're using Calm Mind, you can just go with the 128, 252. And with this, you know, it is going to be more optimal to probably just set this up. This is going to keep you well-rounded and tanky, and it's just going to benefit your opponents really well. So Murkrow does have access to a lot of status, does do a lot of really crazy things. Very just shut down Pokemon that if you really can capitalize on it forcing your opponent out, just forcing your opponent into uncomfortable situations, and you have another strong Pokemon or you have a strategy worked around it, it rewards you very well. So hope you guys enjoyed this video. That is how you use Murkrow, and I hope you all have a nice day. Thank you very much for watching.